Three, two, one, go. Yo, welcome to the Willys podcast, season 2, episode 3. We're in the house with the one and only Jereme Rogers, one of the most notorious skate figures of the last 15 years. Got a few mutual friends, been talking to each other, and finally we're on the blower together. Jereme, how's it going, man? What's going on in California?
It is going splendid, swell, spectacular. And how are you?
I'm good, man. The surf's been pretty good. I'm actually currently on bail for that Opera House stunt that we put the weed leaves on the Opera House, so I'm not able to travel at the moment. So that's a bit annoying. And I just got done for drug driving because they test for cocaine and for cannabis here when you get pulled over, for the roadside breathalyzer tests. So I have no license, which is kind of frustrating. But other than that, I'm pretty good. The sun is shining, and it's a beautiful day, and I'm alive. So, it's pretty good. And so, what's going on in your hood at the moment? Whereabouts are you located at the moment?
Right now, I am in Snapchat. No, just kidding. I'm in Boston.
Oh, fantastic! And are you what have you been up to up there? Is that where your family's from? Because you're originally from the East Coast, aren't you? Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm gonna try something real quick, which is a backflip. No, I'm gonna try to plug see if this works with my. You've got your. Hold on.
No problem.
Does that work?
No problem. Yep.
Hold on. Got it. No, I'm trying to. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Oh, this isn't working for me though. What I'm trying. I was trying to plug my mic in. You're doing it.
You trying to plug it into your phone or into your computer?
Yeah, I tried to plug it into my phone.
I got a USB. If you go into settings, you can see there's like a thing where you can kind of change it. Change what if you plug the mic in, and then there's if you look on participants, and then you look on, I don't know what it is on the phone though. It's a little bit different.
It's all right. It's fine.
Good. So do you want to give us a little bit of a rundown about how you got into skating on the East Coast, and kind of how you got to where you are today? Because you've had a pretty illustrious career, and then now you're a rapper, and you're a pretty notorious womanizer and partier, and man of all that wears many hats. Very polarizing figure, which I kind of identify with. What originally got you into skating?
Well, first and foremost, let me touch on the one thing that I disagree with that you said.
Yeah.
I am not a womanizer, Willie.
Okay, my bad. I'll edit that one out.
I know. No, you don't need to edit it out. We'll address it. We're addressing it. I do very much enjoy women. I actually think women are the creme de la crop. I think they are like a sunset or an ocean. I think they're the best thing on the planet. Even better than that. But yes, I understand how, from an outside perspective, it could look that way, because I have posted a boomerang of a girl giving me whatever that stuff is when she uses her lips, or whatever you call it. And whatever the case, anyone that I've posted like that has given approval for me to post that,
until the mods take your account down. Or did they?
Well, they didn't because I'm not showing anything that they don't already show on Instagram. They take my account down first before all the political stuff I used to post.
How many accounts have you had deleted?
None, but I've been shadow banned 50 times probably.
Yeah, that's good.
To the skating thing, just kids in my neighborhood were skating, and I was like, that shit looks easy. No, it looked fun, so I tried it.
And you picked it up pretty quickly, didn't you? You had you're naturally talented, you're pretty naturally talented guy. I heard it came pretty easy for you.
I'm pretty indifferent about the verbiage.
Yeah,
Um, but I do believe that a mind can be open to talent, you know?
yeah,
Um, so whatever the case, I've definitely always been open to talent. My parents definitely raised me with the right ideas and principles to some degree. They didn't raise me like to believe in God or anything like that. I found my own faith on my way. But they did raise me with you know, you can do whatever you want. And there's one time specifically when I was younger, I was pulling my mom's hair out of a brush, right? Like just
yeah.
pulling hair out of a brush. And she was peeing at the time. That's how young I was, that I would be in the bathroom with her while she's peeing. And I don't know, I guess I'm a little bit OCD, and I love, for some reason I loved that. I thought that was amazing, like pulling this stuff out. And I was like, I think I want to do this for a living when I get older, you know? And she was like, well, you can do whatever you want if you're the best at it, you know, you can get paid at it.
Was that
So I'm
was
just
that
trying to say, you know, instill good principles. Luckily, I vetoed that idea, but before that, I did gymnastics. I was on a regional gymnast team, and I did baseball. I was on a traveling all star team, so I did everything, you know, as much as I could, and I, you know, or did it with the whole heart of this is all I want to do for forever.
and
And
do you find that do you think that the gymnastics helped you majorly with like controlling your body and knowing where you are in the air and stuff that kind of translated over as you got older and you started skateboarding?
okay, I guess this kind of counter counteracts, counterintuits or something, and whatever, it contradicts what I was just saying about the talent thing, because in some sense, maybe the universe has a plan, just like it maybe did for you, and I definitely think that gymnastics is very rigorous. Like you know, I used to be able to do like 25 handstand push-ups, you know, and like fucking 30 pull-ups. Right now, 30 pull-ups sounds like fucking hell, but I could do some. I could hit like 40 push-ups, you know, but 30 pull-ups, that's rough. Um, so, but yeah, it made me very core. And before I quit gymnastics, I almost said retired. I didn't have a career. Before I retired gymnastics, I could do like a back layout full, which is like a backflip where you're like laid all the way out in a 360. And then
Yep.
also I was doing a double backflip with a spot on the floor.
Yeah, and so you were
And
doing that in you were doing that in your tumbling routines, were you? You were doing double backs and then back falls as well. So you got
well,
to a pretty high level.
the back full was in my tumbling routine, in my actual routine, but the double back was like something I was learning right before I quit, and I was like 12 at the time.
So yeah, so you
So
got to a pretty high level at a pretty young age.
yeah, so it definitely I did pick up things quick, but I also worked harder than most people, and I but definitely gymnastics, I would say, helped. You know, maybe that was a setup in the divine plan, that it helped with my aerial, and aerial is a word you'd use in gymnastics, but it, you know, it helped with my being in the air, whatever that would be called, knowledge, neo-idness, you know, and like Neo dodging bullets.
Yeah, like Neo in the Matrix. So,
Yeah,
how old were you when you started skateboarding?
13.
13, and you went pro at what, like 16, 17? Was it?
No, but I did start getting paid at 14.
Well, it's a pretty quick transition into getting to that level. Was
It
there
is
like
pretty quick.
was there a lot of good skate parks around your house that kind of like facilitated that, or were you just skating street from the get go?
No, there was one skate park, and I do believe for any skateboarder who wants to be pro, that you should spend a lot of time on mini ramp when you start. So I skated at a skate park where I was skating just the bowl mostly, and
Yeah.
I was skating for like 8 to 10 hours a day. So even 8 to 10 hours a day in 1 year is like a pretty good amount of hours, you know,
So do you think that
like
those
over.
fundamentals from gymnastics that you learned crossed over into that discipline that you then like. Obviously, you learned the fundamentals of skating from skating mini ramps and skating bowl. Like obviously, because those transitions are a little bit harder than just grinding a ledge, and that kind of taught you the basic fundamentals that then helped you get really good really quickly.
Well, yeah, I think because even now, if I like take like, because I've done times where I'm like hadn't skated for a couple months, 2-3 months max, and then the first thing I want to do is go skate mini ramp, because mini ramp I jump right back on it and I'm cozy right away, and it helps me to realign my timing, because street is like really it's such a timing sensitive thing.
Yeah, and so what did you guys used to do in the long bitter winters of Boston back in the day, when you were first starting to skate? Did you have an indoor ramp that you got to?
Well, I'd go to that skate park. I'd go to a skate park called 8 Ball Skate Park. Who knows? Maybe the guy loved a bunch of coke. I didn't even think about it before.
And did you who was your first sponsor that you got on originally, and how did that come about? Like, obviously you had a knack for it. You started getting really good, and then there was like a local pro or like a local rep that kind of saw you, and then that was kind of the beginning?
I went to Woodward. That was another thing that my parents did for me, which not Woodward, but stuff like it. They were never rich when I grew up, and they're not rich now, but each of them, they're remarried, and they've definitely both made they're at least like take care of themselves,
Yeah.
well enough, like own their own homes and such. My dad, who's an architect, is still paying off his, but it's a nice house that he designed.
They both live in Boston, do they?
No, one lives in Florida with her decrepit husband. I hope he doesn't hear this. And then one lives in Massachusetts with his more decrepit wife, not in looks, but in annoyance. But and I hope she doesn't hear this. But they did. So they always supported me. Like they let me, like I joined hockey when I was younger, and I quit pretty quick, and hockey was a little expensive. So they always like anteed up for me to get into things. And Woodward was like $1,000 to go for a week, which was like a big feat, And I honestly, I don't even know how they didn't really. I mean, there was times when we didn't have like tons of food in the cupboard, so I don't even know why they anteed up for me to go to a skateboard camp before skateboarding was even popular. But whatever the case, I don't know. Yeah, I was their first kid, and they were trying to instill that principle, and whatever the case, luckily it did work out. And I met a guy, Anthony Furlong, from Chapman Skateboards, and Chapman did all Zoo York sports and a lot of people's. They're a big manufacturer on the East Coast.
Yep.
And I just sent, and I don't know how quickly I started getting an AM check for like $350 a month, which.
What was that like when you got that check in, that first check when you were 14? Were you aware that you were, it was very unusual for that to happen in such a quick time span?
No, and I'm still not even sure what happened with that money, because I know about all the money that I blew personally. Like I blew over $6 million myself from skating. That money, I don't know. Maybe, hopefully, my mom and dad stashed whatever that year of money somewhere, and I got a little extra. I don't even know what that is. Just nothing, but I'll take it.
Maybe they put it in Bitcoin and it's worth a couple of $100 million now. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Bitcoin wasn't out at the time. They didn't put it in college because I dropped out in 9th grade, so I don't know what they did.
So do you think that kind of you can achieve anything was what inspired you to just quit at the top in your prime and just fuck everything off and just go start a music career? Because that's pretty unique to be able to have the balls to be able to, this doesn't make me happy anymore, and now I'm just going to choose to go and do what I think makes me
happy. I really, yeah, I gotta say, I really love you for your verbiage on that, because you're the only other person who worded it that way.
Yeah, well, that's if you're not a million people in the world can tell you that you've got the best job in the world and everything, but if it's not giving you fulfillment anymore, then it's dead to you. Like people don't get it, and no one can walk a mile in your shoes. So they're going to talk shit because they don't get your brain, and only you know what makes you happy. And really, when you're dead, or you know what I mean, when you're on your deathbed at one point in the future, you'll look back and you
which
go,
would
"Wow, I did what I wanted to
which would
do."
which would be nice to like to have that last moment on a deathbed. Also, dying in your sleep could be nice, but it might be all right to be on your deathbed and have a second.
But
But
just people don't understand what makes people happy. Like some people, I've worked with people before. I used to be a tree lopper, and fuck, I used to work with one of the smartest people I know, who I've ever met. He could be like a college fucking professor, and he liked tree lopping. But who the fuck am I to tell him what he wants to do in life?
he
He
liked
likes
what?
cutting down trees. He liked tree lopping, cutting down trees. He's like, like an
Yeah.
arborist. Do you know what I mean? Like
Oh,
that's what makes him happy. He liked hard
I
work.
just
And he's like,
yeah, I just met somebody like that, and they're actually pretty well off from it. But
totally, he was well off from it, but it wasn't about that. It was like a lot of people told him that he was wasting his talent, but he was like, well, fuck you, motherfuckers. This is what makes me happy. Like, who the fuck are you to
yeah,
tell me what I can and can't do? So I kind of
yeah,
admire it in a way. It's a very unique trait in the 21st century where everybody's just trying to pose and trying to do shit for everybody else, So you've taken your life in your own hands and gone, you know what? I'm over that. I'm going to go do this.
but can
So
I tell you? Can I answer that question?
100%.
So one, the person I'm comparing you to is my favorite vert skater growing up. He skated vert like street, and vert, for anyone who's listening, is
Was that Colin
the
McKay?
big. Yes, you're correct. Yes, good job.
Yeah.
How did you do that?
Oh, I got a good brain. I know what's up, I
All
guess.
right. Wow. Willie's got a good brain, everyone who's listening. That was pretty good. Women's intuition on the max.
Intuitive.
And see, that's how you know I'm not a womanizer, because I call it women's intuition, because they typically have better intuition.
100% they do. It's like dogs and cats and kids when they're really little. They got telepathy and they can read people's energy. That's why if you
Yeah.
put the baby in someone shady's hands, the baby will start crying. Dogs don't like certain people. We forget that. We were born with
Yeah.
the ability for our ESP and stuff like that, and we kind of forget it in our modern age, especially with
Yeah.
shit like fucking fluoride in the water system and all that kind of stuff that takes away from the penile gland.
That's why I'm moving somewhere very foreign that apparently doesn't have any of that in their system. All organic food.
And whereabouts in the world would you like to live in a perfect universe?
Well, shoot, I'd love to have an island, like a adult island,
Yeah,
like a non kid island like Epstein. But I'd love to have an adult island,
yeah.
for adulting.
One of the guys I used to work with, we came up with the idea of starting our own country. And we found a country in the Southwest Pacific called Kiribati, and it's the smallest island nation on planet Earth. And it's a population of 7,000 people. We budgeted it out that you'd need $1 million per person to be able to replace them in another country and then take over the country. And then you do all the construction work and you build it up like they are in the South China Sea or Narita Airport, where it's all built on concrete. And then you legalize all drugs, you legalize prostitution, you legalize gambling, make it a tax haven, and start your own fucking country.
I found Willie, I like your thinking, because trust me, I'm on the same wave. But I found an island that was 450K that was pretty nice, and it was I forget the acreage. It was more than 7 acres, but it might have been 43. I forget the acres exactly, but I do know that an acre is 43,560 square feet, which that alone is decent.
Yeah, I live on a big property like that. I'm pretty lucky, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, you look like you're doing well for yourself, and I'm happy for you. Wait.
Still cash poor, but that's all right. Company's doing all
Hey,
right. So it's all good. Whatever comes and goes, who gives a fuck? As long as I'm getting laid and I'm having fun and I'm surfing and life comes and goes.
I've had one of my best lays ever in Australia. Oh my gosh.
Where was that? In Melbourne or was it in Sydney?
It was in Melbourne.
Fantastic.
Still remember that. I can still remember the dimples on her back, and it was a blonde and the shape of her.
Can you remember where you picked her up? What club were you at? Were you at Revolver or at Electric?
I can't remember that.
Probably one of those late night venues. So
I can remember the shape of her
you
ass.
dropped a quite of you got the privilege of growing up with some of the being involved with some of the best pro skaters of their generation.
Wait, Willie, let me tell you about the
Yeah.
Colin thing first, so you guess.
Okay, yeah. Tell me about the Colin thing. Yeah.
So when I retired skating, I was on Plan B, um, which I never need personally because I pull out on time. But I did ride for the company Plan B, the skateboard company, and when I retired, everyone else, my agent, which I didn't realize, like she looked at me like she actually took it well, but she definitely looked at me like I'm fuck, you know, because I didn't realize like I was making her like a 70 racks a year, you know, like that added to her yearly thing, you know?
Yeah.
And she was only getting 10% off me. Other people she gets more. But I never let her go past that 10% when I started that. I was always a pretty decent negotiator since I was young. And then Paul P Rod looked at me like he was like, how are you gonna pay your bills? And then and I met with Danny Way and Colin McKay. I met with before them, and then I met with also Travis Barker because I wrote for Famous. I told him I'm getting into music. I said, I'd love if you support me, but I don't expect any pay or this or that. And he said, it's a whole nother monster, Jereme. And I didn't, at the time I was like, okay, bro, like I'm basically asking you to support me and not pay me. Take me from $8,000 a month to no grand and just support me. And he didn't even really consider it. He just warned me. And he was right. You know, it is a whole nother monster. But whatever the case, then Danny and Colin, they were having a meeting with me and they were like, oh, they had this whole plan to like make me the main Plan B skater at the time. And they were trying to do a 17-page faster interview, which was pretty big at the time. I don't know how their interviews are now. But magazine is obviously much more dead than it was then. And they wanted me to do a cover and yada yada. And I was like, guys, let me just save you some breath, save you some oxygen, and let you know that I'm literally going to do the exact opposite of that. I'm going to not do any of that. I'm retiring, and I'm focusing on music full time. And Danny, who was already making music, was like, he said something, I forget what he said, like, what the fuck, that's crazy or something. And then Colin was like exactly what you said, but in slightly different words. But he was like, "Wow, you have balls of steel." So you and Colin are the only one.
Because like no one can walk in your shoes, Jereme, and like people don't know what makes you happy. And one day when you're dead, you'll when you're in that latter life, you'll think back and you go, you'll put on that Frank Sinatra song "My Way" and you'll listen to it and you'll know that you did it your way. And whether you were successful or not in music, that doesn't really matter. You took forth that endeavor into the future, and you were like, you took the balls in your hand, and you fucking ran in. Instead of going left or right, you went straight. So it's quite an admirable trait, especially when you're in such a position where so much money is being thrown at you, so much fame, so much attention.
Yeah. Well, thank you for seeing it. Thank you for seeing it clearly.
That's all right. I've actually listened to a few of your different podcasts, and I found it quite interesting that you did do that, and I kind of admire it in a way because like people, they think that they know what it's like to be on that pedestal, but you know what it's like for you personally.
Well, they also, how Paul put it in perspective, P-Rod.
Yeah, how did he put it in perspective?
So I was like, because I didn't really expect them to like, well, honestly, arrogantly enough, I expected them to like support me. Like I wrote a letter to skateboard. I'm gonna go do this now. I hope I did this before, gymnastics, baseball. I don't know why I got to do that corny voice, but whatever. Because I just imagine
that's
the
right.
time.
That's the dean of your what's it called? What do they call it in America? The your guidance counselor.
Yeah. So I'm gonna do this now. You guys should support me. And they were like completely hated me for like 7 to 8 years at least. Just recently now I get like only good comments on music, which is nice. I get one hater out of 100 loves. So I'm like, that's nice. And now I get to be like, hey, you're the last man standing. Good for you. But Paul put it in perspective. He was like, if Kobe quit the Lakers, and I'm not comparing myself to him. This is what Paul said. But if Kobe quit the Lakers to go fucking, golf or whatever he did do, I forget, or Jordan or whatever the fuck. It's like
Jordan quit to play baseball.
Yeah, Jordan. But I think he golfed too. I think for a little bit.
No, he didn't golf professionally, but there are rumors that it was to do with gambling. But he probably just was over it. And like once you're at that high level for that long, like it's hard to find things to motivate you to be able to keep pushing.
Yeah, but whatever the case, he put it like in a perspective of like if they quit, but even comparative whatever, if Kobe quit to go fucking play fucking be a professional swimmer, like the fans who are fans of him playing basketball, of course they're not going to support that. They want to see him play basketball. They don't give a you know what I mean, flying fuck about that. So I got that. You know what I mean? I got that. And then also about the pedestal thing, it's like the people who don't know what it's like to be in that position, also they want to know what it's like to be in that position. So that is why it would be, I can understand from their standpoint, frustrating. It's like you are going to throw away what most of us are never going to get to go do something like that closetly they actually probably most of them do want to do. Most people are closet musicians.
Yeah, not me personally, but
I'm not saying you personally, but it is the most commonly shared dream. Like,
yeah, 100%.
I figured that.
I've made a lot of music videos for a lot of famous people, and I've dealt with a lot of fucking egos and shit like that. The music industry is a different beast than every other industry. There's a lot of ego involved.
A lot of ego, a lot of whatever, but it is the most commonly, like if you ask like a basketball player, a security guard, a cop, or whatever, would you rather be a rock star tomorrow? 98% of them will be like, yes. It is the most commonly shared dream. Even actors will be like, yes.
Thespians. Oh, yeah, that's hilarious. So you were originally on DBS. What was it like? Your homies with Jerome Wilson, I think. Is that correct? Is that who kind of put you on DBS and kind of got your career rolling originally?
That's my original dad, yeah. I have a real dad. He's good. I told you about him. But that's my original skateboard dad, yeah.
Fantastic. And how did you meet Jerome? I actually met him once, I think, long time ago. Seemed like a cool dude.
I did. Damn, I keep trying to. Not that you need it. We're not filming it, but I keep trying to turn my camera on for you, but it won't let. I guess I got to go to settings.
Oh, all good, bro. No worries. It might cut out in like 10 minutes, and then I'll just send you another thing on email to click back on.
Okay, I met Jerron at I did a super corny thing that I wouldn't advise people to do, but at the same time, I don't know, maybe you should. But DVS I definitely like knew the quality of skateboarding that I was doing, and I DVS like. Well, it wasn't even that. Like, I wasn't like trying to show off or whatever, but I was such a like fanatic for skateboarding and like pro skaters and yada yada. So DVS did a demo somewhere, Skaters Island first, a place in Rhode Island. That was pretty much the biggest park we ever had in the Northeast. And I skated when they started skating, and a couple kids can do that sometimes, but usually it's only the local rippers. And I was killing it. I kickflip, backflip the rail first try. I kickflip front side nose slide did it second try, and I did a couple other things before that. But after the kickflip front nose slide, Jason Dale was like, "All right, get off the course." He kicked me off, like because it could make them look bad, That's
they're local. That's kind of lame. But skating seems to have a lot of people like that. It's like they want the shine and they don't want to give it away to some little kid that's
Yeah,
that shit, they hate on it.
I understand in some sense because like I've been to demos and like a kid is doing it and he isn't to that level where it's like, okay, he should be with us. You know what I mean? It's to the point where they're just a local ripper who knows the transitions and knows this and that. So you're like, all right, dude, watch out now. Let us do our thing. That's why we're here. Yeah. But whatever the case. And then I went to a second demo and like same thing. And then third demo. they did 3 demos in Boston, and the third demo I did, and I just like I actually showed up late at the end, and I did something like nollie heel flip the pyramid first try, and then after that they asked me to go on tour with them, and I went on tour, and then Kerry Getz offered me to get on like Habitat. Steve Barrett wanted me to get on Alien, and then Jerome DVS and Girl, and it was kind of the obvious choice.
So did you immediately start filming for Yeah Right at that time, or was that a couple of years later?
No, you know what's so funny is dude, I am a man of loyalty, Willie, which you would respect in your industry. I mean, you do respect in your industry, obviously.
I like that,
right?
Yeah.
So I was on a girl tour, and Rick Howard asked me. He was like, he asked me for some of the it was before the PJ Ladd video came out, Wonderful Horrible Life. I'm not sure if you know of that or whatever.
No, I know who PJ Ladd is, but I haven't seen that video. No, I don't think.
Okay,
I've seen You Right, obviously.
Yeah, all good. But PJ Ladd basically was like, it's the most famous skateboard shop video of all time. Like, skateboard shops don't have videos that are like it's damn near as famous as Yeah Right. But it was before Yeah Right, and excuse me, and that was my dog, and but PJ revolutionized like some stuff, and then there's some other people on there that were revolutionary and whatever the case. And Rick Howard asked me for some of my footage from Yeah Right. Like, I mean, not Yeah Right. Asked me for some of my footage from PJ Ladd's, this and that. Da, da, da. And I wasn't even fully am at the time for Girl. And I told him no. I was like, no, that's for that. That's for PJ Ladd's video,
Yeah.
But I also knew what I was going to do for them, and I ended up having 26 minutes of leftover footage for Yeah Right. So there's whatever, but it was just funny. I just, when I think back as a kid, to think like, I'm like, no, it's kind of funny.
So tell me, you got to be on one of the best teams in skateboarding, one of the most iconic, with people like Eric Compton. What was that like? Like, what were you? Did you get starstruck, or were you not really? You weren't like a skate rat nerd or a skate nerd, or what was that like?
No, of course I was a skate rat nerd. Eric Costin and Stevie Williams were my favorite skaters. And Stevie was on Chocolate, so I went on tour with Stevie a bunch.
And did he take you under his wing and kind of give you the 411 on how to be a pimp?
No, not at all. Well, for starters, me and Sheckler started the pimping shit in skateboarding, but whatever. They weren't pimping shit, But Eric Costin did have an ex-girlfriend who was a fucking a porn star, which is pretty cool. Like, because you wouldn't expect it from him. But no, they didn't teach me shit. One time, Eric Costin, and I love you, brother. If you ever hear this, I do love you. You were my favorite. But one time, Eric Costin we're playing a game of skate, and I got him at T, and he quit. And PJ did that to me before too. And PJ, I love you too if you ever hear this. But they both quit at T. That's super fucked up. Like, to deny me of that privilege.
Crazy. And so to be able to beat the GOAT to be able to beat Jordan at a game of skate, yeah, that's pretty.
Well, I didn't get to beat him because it's like he acted like he had a call from the fucking ER or something. Like, oh, I gotta go.
Did you ever get to do that game over again?
I don't think we played again after that.
So tell me, after you were on Girl, how long were you on Girl for before you got on Plan B?
This is actually a sensitive thing you're asking me, but not for me, for them. But whatever, they're not putting any coppers in my, how do you say that? What's that term?
Coppers in my pocket.
Yeah, they're not putting any coppers in my pocket. But
Old English word. Shine your shoes, governor.
Yeah, I do love them, but they oh man, I really would like to we have the peace right now, but whatever, dude. I respect you, Willie, so I'll tell you the truth. Fuck. Okay, so I was at
You can omit that answer if you want. That doesn't matter.
Nah, I mean, whatever. The truth is the truth. It's fine. They know what it is. I mean, they should just be lucky I didn't come after them for money. But I was at fuck. So the skateboard industry is pretty rapey, if
Definitely.
you know what I mean. So
Yeah, 100%.
skateboarders. I don't know what the industry standard is now because I'm not like whatever. I sell my own skateboards when I do, and I get a gravely different amount. But pros used to get $2 a board, and then they would also get $2 for a shoe, which sells for $75 to $100, right?
Yeah.
So they're still getting $2. That's how much they get. And you're getting $2 off a $50 product. Kind of crazy compared to like music, where you might get $5 off a $10 album, you know?
Yeah.
And music,
That's if you're independent.
Yeah. But still, okay. So still, music though, you'd get $2 off a $10 album.
Yeah, I think it depends on your agreements and stuff like that. But I've heard a lot of stories about a lot of people getting raped of their music contracts as well. So I think it's probably it's a ruthless capitalistic thing. You know what I mean?
Well, it's more ruthless than ever. Music now, they do the 360 thing. If ever you're famous, we get 50% of everything you make. You know,
So
that's the standard.
it's going to cut out. I'll start it again and I'll send you the link. All right, I'll email you the link. Is that all right?
Yep.
No worries, legend. I'll send it to you. Give me 1 minute. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, dude. Legend. I'll talk to you in 1 minute. On again. So you were telling me about what happened with girl and how you got on Plan B. What was it like? Were you at the height of your skate career? Like, did you get a lot of hype because you had one of the standout parts from such an iconic movie?
Yeah, but I was getting $2 a board, and then basically I maybe could have won Tampa Pro, but they gave it to Costin, even though maybe he should have won. But also he should have won politically because they're like, he might not come back and do this again. So I got second and Paul got third. I think that was in 2007, 2006, maybe 2007.
How old were you then? Like 20?
No, I was like, I don't know.
18.
No, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I hadn't thought about it. I think my age isn't important because I stopped aging. I just talked to my ex-girlfriend earlier and she said, "You look younger." I said, "Benjamin Buttons."
So you got second at the Tampa Pro, and then you're obviously you got the part that came out with Girl. You're selling heaps of boards, and they've kind of
but it was
royalties, have they? Is that what happened?
It was before. Well, whatever the case, I was getting a tattoo on my eye at the time, the music note.
Yeah.
And Rick Howard asked me, he was sitting there and he goes, "Is there anything we can do for you?" You know, because he knew like, shit, you just pretty much beat the big dog, like, but whatever, you didn't, you know, but so be it. Like, and then you beat Paul, who was literally the GOAT for AMs. And anything we can do for you, and I like a child.
Can you give the listeners like a little bit of kind of who Rick Howard is and how notorious he is and who he is in skateboarding?
Okay, Rick Howard is basically what is Rick Howard? Rick Howard's like the owner of the Lakers. Rick Howard, he originally was on Plan B, him and Mike Carroll, and then they quit Plan B and they created Girl, because Plan B was around in like 98, something like that, and they created Girl, and then they partnered up. It was Rick Howard, Mike Carroll, and I don't know what point in time Rick Howard's wife came in, Megan, whatever her name is. Excuse me. Sorry, that was my dog again, burping. My crazy dog burps. He's been drinking beer all day. And then and Spike Jones. Spike Jones created like Her and Where the Wild Things Are and a lot of other stuff. He's a famous director, but he's the one who did Yeah Right. And they all I credit them for this. They all split it 25, 25, 25%. So that's cool because I'm all about that. But so I bursted out at Rick Howard, who's a quarter owner of Girl and pretty much the main creator. And I was like, yeah, you could give me my royalties, like in front of like 100 kids around me watching while I'm getting tattooed. And obviously he did not like that,
Yeah, you didn't like being put on the bitch in front of a public forum. I can understand that.
Yeah, and I understand that too. But I was a child and I was frustrated because I knew
if you're selling boards, you should be getting paid what your contract says. It's pretty simple. So for him,
so I knew,
he's kind of a little bitch. He should just pay you. Then it wouldn't have been a problem in the first place.
What they did was, so the next month, and it was April the next month. Now, mind you, April 15th in America is tax time, right?
Yeah.
So April 15th. So for 2 years, I got the same exact. I got my guaranteed minimum, which is $3,000 a month. That's what everyone else was getting, and I'm glad they're getting that. Whatever the case, I even told them when I went into the meeting. So we had a meeting. Well, after this, so basically in April, then all of a sudden I get a check right after Tampa Pro for $6,000, $6,005, whatever, 6,000 and some amount of change.
Yeah,
So all of a sudden I doubled. All of a sudden I doubled right after I won Tampa Pro, which I guess in some sense could make sense. Like everybody's buying whatever, but it takes time to ship the boards and yada yada. So I said
also there's a 90 terms of most skate shops that have a 90-day terms with the distribution.
Correct.
So
yeah,
they're full of shit. They're just trying to cover their ass.
exactly. So they thought that I was going to come in happy about that, but I don't know, whatever reason, I was a decently smart kid. So I knew. So when I sat down to the meeting with them, and they basically wanted to have the meeting to see like if I was going to be, in my opinion, well, not just, it's the truth, but whatever. In my opinion, if I was going to be like poison in the river or something, so they wanted to see how I reacted to that. And they said, aren't you happy about whatever? And I said, no, to be honest, what that shows me is that I was fucking clearing my bare minimum for the past 2 years. You know what I mean? Most likely clearing it and like, whatever. Like, and I know because I have the same accountant as you guys that fucking this is shut me up money, So like, no, I'm not happy about it, Like, and I said, I was like, what I would be happy about is if you guys were honest and told me that, yes, Jeremy, the way that our system is set up is that to keep everybody afloat, so-and-so, I'm not going to mention any names, but say this person are not like making their bare minimum, by people like you and whoever, we keep the boat afloat. I'm sure they're not doing that to Costin or something, but people like you and we keep the boat afloat, Like I would have been happy if they told me the truth, is what I told them. And then they were like, well, we got to let you go then. Because they knew I was going to be poison in the whatever is saying.
Poison in the well. Poison in the well.
Poison in the well, yes. And then I cried. Honestly, I cried. Because it was my family, and I was really, really, really sad. It was like, it was hurtful that they handled it that way. And then Colin McKay called me up the next day when he heard, and asked me what happened. And I told him, I explained it to him. And then I got on plan B, and plan B was a $5,000 minimum. And then the first month I made 6 and change there. So I knew, like, yeah, I was right.
Yeah,
It is what it is.
especially if you made it in that first month as soon as you got on a new deck company.
Yeah, I made it in the first month, and then I made it every month after that for the whole time I was on there. I made
Now,
6,
and now
7.
was there like a lot of controversy in the skate industry? Like did you put out an interview or anything like that when it happened, or was it because social media wasn't as big then or didn't even exist? I'm assuming this is about 2006, 2007. So
It is. It is. 2000. Yeah. 2000. Yeah. You're exactly right. Yeah.
MySpace time, right? MySpace time. So news doesn't
Yeah.
travel as quickly, obviously back then. How did people find out that you'd switched over to Plan B?
Well, I mean, I did Plan B stuff, Plan B ads in magazines and
Also,
whatever.
they ran ads of you and stuff like that. So yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yep.
Right away. I mean, they were happy to have me. I had to explain to them, and they know because they were all on Plan B originally, so they've already dealt with Carol and Howard, and again, to this day, I love them, but they know what happened, and I asked, or we had a mutual account.
They did the same thing to Rocco at World Industries when they created Girls. So like it's kind of the Padawan kills the Sith Overlord. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and Danny knows because Danny's brother fucking robbed him of like so much money, it's absurd.
That sucks.
Yeah, they sold DC for
Family and money.
800 million.
Yeah.
They sold DC for 800 million, and DC was originally made after Danny and Colin, and they sold it for 800 million, and they cut Danny fully out and didn't give him nothing. And they split it between 4 partners, Ken Block, and I don't know the other guys' names.
Whoever the equity partners were in it at the original time.
Yeah, they split it, but in my mind, they were kind of like Danny. It was probably being a rock star, and they were probably trying to. It was kind of like in their mind they built it to that, and they were kind of like, it was like, okay, if we give him 50 million, he's going to be offended because that's still going to be less than $250,000, which we're all getting or whatever. It would be a slightly less if they gave him that 50, or you teach him a lesson so he pays attention to his business. You know what I mean? And it was like anything less than equal, he's going to be offended. And I'm not saying it's right, but that's the only way my mind rationalizes with how they handled it.
And so you get on Plan B. You're now on a team with Colin and with Ryan Sheckler and stuff like that. What was it like transitioning over? Like, did you find that it was a little bit awkward when you were going on trips with this new crew of people, or were you already friends with all these people because of like stuff, because of just the tightness of the skate industry?
Well, I mean, PJ was on there for starters, which is my original,
homeboy,
like my original GOAT person. Like, it really does matter to whoever hears this. It truly does matter. If you're picking up a craft and you can find yourself around the best craftsmen you can find, that is what will make the difference.
And that'll make you better at what you do.
That'll make you better. I mean, it's like, of course, you gotta you not only just watch it on video, but if you can see it close range in front of you, that'll make you better. So, but yeah, PJ was there, Sheckler was there, who me and Sheckler were such buds prior to that. Like, when we used to compete, we would eat breakfast together and like talk shit to each other, like on do tours. Like, I'm going to beat you today. I'm going to beat you today. I'm like, yeah, right. You're not winning today. We were cool. We had fun.
So you were pretty good homies with Sheckler already before that?
Yeah. Like, we would literally have breakfast and talk shit to each other, but not like not offensive. Like, no, you're not winning today. You ain't got this.
And so, what was it like watching him, in his young age and all the fame that he got from the MTV show and winning X Games at 13 and stuff? He was kind of like a Niger before Niger.
Yeah. What was it like? What?
Were you ever on that show? What did you? How did you?
I was on. Yeah, I was on every Sheckler show, Life of Ryan and whatever. I mean, I just did a couple of guest things.
A couple of cameos. And what was the take of the skate industry on that? Like, did he get, skaters are pretty, they're known for being haters. What was the take from the common denominator of pros? Were they like, who the fuck, Ryan's gone Hollywood, like,
Yeah, they didn't like it. I mean, but you know, they didn't. They don't. They're mean. They're meanies. So they didn't like it. But like, like him and me, we were. I mean, I was doing it before him behind closed doors that he would see, and then he was doing it publicly on TV, and he helped introduce like what I'm trying to be a chauvinist, but pimping in a sense, like being having access to women. He introduced that to skateboarding, so like now there's guys that have beautiful girlfriends thanks to people like me and him because, it was cool to be a skateboarder. So like, they don't have a problem with him now because it takes time, but they figure it out. They also didn't like Pharrell when Pharrell was shouting skateboard P, like shut the fuck up. Like Pharrell is saying like Pharrell wants to be a skateboarder. Like let him want to be a skateboarder. Wayne wants to be a skateboarder. They were hating on Wayne. Like, bro, it's the best rapper on the planet. You guys all listen to his music. Every one of you knows every single one of his words on 90% of his songs. Shut the fuck up. You're mad that he wants to skateboard? Like, what the
It
fuck?
seems like Wayne was less of a poser than Pharrell because Wayne can skate. He might not have the best style ever, but he gives it a red hot try, as they say in Australia. So, have you ever actually seen Pharrell skateboard?
I've seen him do like a little weird little nothing. Like, no, but that's. But he did offer me a company once, so like he clearly liked skating.
And well, I think skateboarding and surfing are probably two of the main pillars of fashion culture that a lot of people don't recognize. That California culture from this, from do you know who the Fletcher brothers are, the pro surfers, Grayson Fletcher's dad, and then his dad, their grandfather Herbie Fletcher, he was skating pools 10 years before the Dogtown guys. You know what I mean? So that was what created culture, and they got ostracized from the surf industry too, because they were just such rebels.
Yep. Freaking I know and I'm pretty cool with who I like a lot is Bruce Iron. I don't know if
I know who he is. I have mutual friends, but I don't know him personally. No.
Yeah, he's cool. He's funny.
He's a fucking weapon of a surfer. He has cojones.
Really? Well, he likes to stay with a weapon on him too. I've seen him fucking spin around butterfly knives and stuff. Like, dude, chill.
He's a weapon. He's a fucking. That guy has balls of steel. The waves that guy pulls into, and he's just so casual about it. He doesn't have much fear in him. It's quite amazing.
Really? That's good. That makes more sense because I don't know anything about his surfing, but Danny Way introduced me to him, and he's like done some stuff with some knives around some babes that I was around, and I was like, Bruce, put it away. Chill, bro.
Yeah, well, he comes from a pretty gnarly place. Kauai is a very notoriously gnarly island.
That's where Danny has a house like right across the street from him in Kauai, which the Red Hot Chili Peppers live down the street too.
Which one? Fucking Anthony Kiedis or Flea?
I hate to not know. I think it's Anthony Kiedis, the main singer, right?
Yeah, that's the main singer. Yeah. So tell me, so after that, are you still on TBS at this time as well? And when did the TBS movie come out? Was that before Yeah Right, or was that after?
That was after.
And did you always ride for DBS as your shoe sponsor, or did you move on to another sponsor after that?
No, I only rode for DBS till the end.
And how many pro model shoes did you have with them?
I had one, but it was also a different time, so that one sold well, and then I had a second one that I started skating like publicly, but by the time I retired, it didn't come out.
So was this around that time you filmed a couple of video parts, or even probably 3 or 4? When did you start
More.
getting jaded about skateboarding? Like when was it
No, see,
starting to like the love was gone?
that's the part that you're not uh up to speed on. It's not your fault, but that's the part you're not up to speed on.
Okay.
So, and also it was much more than 3 to 4. So I had PJ Labs, which is uh, equally famous. I had Yeah Right. I had Skate More. I had A Time to Shine, which is a Transworld video where I had a part with P Rod and Mikey Taylor and myself. I had Jeremy Rogers' Neighborhood, which I put out, which was the first video that pretty much anyone did at the time where they put it out themselves. And I got paid 50 grand up front from 4-on-1 magazine.
Fantastic.
And I gave Tori Pudwell his first part, the guy who brought us Grizzly, and then some other great skaters.
And were you on Red Bull at this time? Was this when
I
you
was
first
on
got
Red
on Red
Bull.
Bull? And
Yeah, I
what
was
was it
on Red
like
Bull.
being one of the first skaters on Red Bull?
Pretty healthy. I was getting paid 12.5 a month.
That's pretty good. And then did they give you access to a lot of things that you didn't have from other sponsors? Did they look after you a little bit better than most of your skate sponsors, or was it just a check in the mail and a bunch of
I
energy
was
drinks on your
I
doorstep?
was I was stupid. Not stupid, but I was not what I am now, which is a bit very. But I'm a resource oriented person, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Uh, but they did offer me, like, if you come up with any creative ideas or you want to do anything at all, we'll fund it, because they just need tax write offs all day, and they're actually from Australia, right? I think.
No, Austria.
Austria, my bad. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Oh, you remember that
I,
scene in Dumb and Dumber where he pulls up in the limo and he jumps out and there's Claudia Schiffer and he sticks his head out the window and he's like, it's like, where are you from? And she's like, I am from Austria. And she's like, and he comes in and Jim Carrey sticks he just looks at her and goes, put another shrimp on the barbie.
yeah, I do.
That was
Yeah.
very fun. Don't worry, I'm a limo driver.
And I also know the term Kiwi is the
Sheep shagger.
yeah. So they but yeah, they basically offered me to, like, they would fund like anything. Like recently they put like a mini ramp in the air, like on a hot air balloon, and had a biker skate biking on it,
Yeah, I saw that.
So
That was pretty fucking sick, wasn't it?
that was pretty damn sick. So,
Um,
but I didn't take advantage of any
Red
of
Bull,
that,
Red Bull. I'm very good friends with Robbie Madison, who you probably met before. He's obviously a Red Bull athlete, and he's
Yeah.
done a lot of crazy shit with Red Bull. So they've
Yeah.
definitely facilitated the progression of action sports in a pretty crazy way.
Yeah, and they want to. So, but I didn't take any advantage of that, And then they also, like, they had, like, they took me to they have a studio where they have a $1.5 million board, like a studio board that was designed by, like, some, like, famous, like, whatever. A board is basically like an old, I'm not saying to you, I'm saying to them, whoever is listening, but like an old, like, Beatles style, like, with a big SSL board, but just 1.5 mil. And they were like, Gwen Stefani records here and this and that, and they showed me all this stuff. So I mean, dude, they had the works, but I just,
And that
I
was
didn't
that one of
utilize.
the times that you started getting interested in music, or were you always interested in music from a young age?
No. Oh, okay. Oh, so that circles back to what you're saying. So no, I had a church sermon at 23, weeping, crying. I was with Terry Kennedy, who apparently just got like less jail time or something like that. Like he was supposed to do like damn near life or something. The kid I grew up with knocked
Yeah,
somebody
I
out.
know who he is.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyways, I guess he got his time, like, reduced, like, dramatically, which is awesome. Even though, like, probably he shouldn't have hit that guy that hard. But
It shit happens
he hits.
sometimes, That's what
It
happens.
happens. You
If
hit
you hit
somebody, they
people
fall.
and then they fall the wrong way and they hit concrete and they die. It's happened to a lot of famous people in the world and a lot of, that's why you got
Yeah,
to keep
it can.
this to yourself, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, you keep your hands to yourself. You know what I mean? I'll take a shot before I give one. At this point. But whatever the case, um, Yeah. Um, so what? Sorry, I lost my train.
You were talking about your church sermon at 23
Oh
with
yes, yes, yes,
10K.
yes, yes. Thank you, brother. Thank you for listening. So I had a breakdown sermon at church, and I was with Terry Kennedy. And I was crying, like weeping, crying, and I started my faith through Christian Asoy, and he took me to some church in OC, and Christian's awesome. I was on a skateboard tour or whatever, yada yada, when I started it, and then I actually I was at Tampa Pro, which isn't really a tour, and then I whatever the case, I had this. The next day, I had a music bug, and I've never. My first like music I listened to, I won a skateboard contest at the same place that like DVS like was the third demo where they ended up picking me up and taking me on tour. I won a skateboard contest and I won like a box of like 200 CDs and I picked a Memphis Bleak CD out of it. This guy was wearing like this yellow top, yellow bottom, like random, like not like a jumpsuit, but I don't even know, just this all whatever, all yellow and his fucking white bands or something. He looked cool. I thought he said, this guy looks cool. So that was like the only CD I kept. The other ones I sold to Newberry Comics. And so my first music that I listened to was rap. So it was natural, like along the way, like my progression was rap that I listened to, but I never ever wanted to rap. And me and Terry used to hang out with this guy Lionel, who's still in jail now, and keeps thinking he's going to get appealed. I give him credit for his faith, but he used to freestyle at parties with us and whatever. He was like a gnarly. He invented this Crip gang in Long Beach and whatever, which I'm not saying that's cool, but he did. And he was an incredible freestyler. And I still it never crossed my mind. I never tried to freestyle in my life. And then at 23, after this church sermon, I had a music bug, and I don't hobby, you know. So I started, and then by 25, it wasn't that skateboarding became whatever. I was shooting a Plan B ad, and I wanted to be in my studio, which I own the equipment and this and that. I wanted to be making music and not skating, you know. And it got to that point where I was at skating. Then now skating became a job. It wasn't. It wasn't that skating wore out. It was just that I found a new fucking. I found a new toy that I want to play with more.
Yeah, you found a new passion.
Yeah, and
had you had exposure to music? Obviously, you were writing for Famous Stars and Straps for that. Obviously, you know, the
well, when I wrote for Famous, I wrote for Famous because I was already on the music path. So at 23, I chose to write for Famous over another brand that offered me like a couple grand more a month, but I chose to write for Famous because I was already on the music path, you know. But I just didn't bother them or talk to them about it, you know.
And did you have much exposure to Travis? Because he seems like a pretty cool guy, but obviously music and skateboarding, they're two different beasts.
Yeah, I had plenty. I mean, I was his main guy. Like I was his main guy. So he was building Famous, and I was his main person out of all the facets that he was sponsoring.
And that was kind of before he was as famous as he is now, where he's like a reality TV show star and stuff like that.
Maybe, but at the same time, he had an offer for Famous. And this is the thing I think is so funny when people don't know how to fucking pull the trigger. And Willie, don't ever do this. So let me tell you something. Don't ever do this. Yeah. So Travis had an offer for Famous for $100 million.
Sell.
Exact. Okay, so you won't do it.
Sell. Start a new company.
That's my guy. Good job, Billy. Now let's tell the people
sell. Start a new company. Call it Famous fucking Straps and fucking, you know, make fucking Birkin neckties or piano ties. Whoever.
No, but that's Willie. That's my guy. And you say in for the people, whoever's listening ever, and one day, and whoever will listen. Yeah, the point is, Willie said, make Famous stars in whatever, a different name, neckties. The point is, the reason these people, in Nicky Diamonds, so he got an offer for $500 million from Jay-Z.
Oh, should have sold it.
Should have sold it. The same thing. And why these people don't sell is because they think they're like it's their baby and they can't do it again.
They
And
also
someone
think
like
that
me,
their identity is kind of sewn into that clothing brand because it's got so much
yeah,
notoriety
yeah,
attached
but
to it.
you sell and you take that 100 million and you have enough mills to fail and fail and fail again, you know? And
Yeah,
now
start a shoe company.
yeah, and now Travis can sell fucking Famous for like a mill if he wanted to, you know?
I don't even.
And
Does it
and
still exist? It still exists, doesn't it?
it still exists, but it's worth like a mill maybe. And there's people with tattoos all over the planet, but not 100 mil. And Nikki, he's like, I don't know where he's at, but he's not, and it's not in a good position. Like Fairfax just shut down, you know.
Really?
So he's
I haven't been to
yeah,
America. I haven't been to California since the beginning of COVID, so
yeah,
it's been a while.
he's shut down, and he
What about Brooklyn Dom Shop? What about the Brooklyn Projects? Is that still there?
yeah, Dom's still there. And guess what? Supreme sold for 36 bill. So I get it, them wanting to wait, you know, but but they still sold.
Yeah, but 500 million is a lot of money, and even after tax, that's a shitload of cash.
It's enough to create something new. It's enough to take 5 years and wait to create something new. It's there's no reason to not move on.
So you go forward into the music, you get the music bug, and then you tell your sponsors. Obviously, you tell Travis, you tell Danny Wayne, Colin McKay. Colin kind of gives you the nod, and just like you got balls of steel, chase your dreams,
He's the
young
only one.
Jedi. Chase your dreams, young Jedi. How long was it before you started making music, and what kind of reception did you get originally?
Well, I was already making music for 2 years before that, and then I got this like, right before, right around the time that I was retiring. I don't know if it was before or right around the time. But Currency, do you remember Currency?
I certainly do.
So Currency was Lil Wayne's artist, and hi, they got me. Oh, sorry, are you still there? I just
Yeah, I'm
moved
still
my
here.
thing.
Yep.
All right, so Currency, he was a guy I was a first skateboarder with an Aston Martin, and he was the guy that he got me to not tint my one. He got me to not put rims on it because he's like, it's seriously a sports car. Like, don't put rims on this. Take the factory tire. You know what I mean? That they're made to drive this car.
Yeah.
So I listened to him on that, and then also he got me to not tint my windows because I tinted my windows on every car before that. And he was like, "Dude, what are you going to spend like 200 racks on a car for, and hide yourself? Like,
No one can see
you
you
might."
driving.
Yeah, he convinced me, like, and he's not even a flashy guy like that, but he's logical. So he's like, just you might as well not have this car if you're gonna hide yourself. You know what I mean? Because this is a car that says hello. You might as well. And I was playing him. I played him some music early on, and he was and I just played him a couple songs, and then I tried to turn it off and turn back on like regular music. And he was like, no, let me hear some more of your stuff. He liked it. And that was like 12, 13, 14, 15 years ago. And then also Kanye's barber, fuck man, oh man, I hope he doesn't hear this. JSPN Jasper or something. Man, I know your name if I look on Instagram. JSPN Jasper. Um, he told me, he was like, your music was like 10 years ahead of time, and I've heard people say different ranges of there or whatever. So I had good reception from some music people, but it's hard to get it without people from music telling other people to get it,
Yeah, 100%. And
if
so
that makes sense.
that was an uphill battle. How have you taken to music? Like, how are you paying your bills these days? Is it through music, or do you have some other hustles that you kind of branched off into to balance out the books?
Well, sometimes, like, doesn't happen every day, but sometimes on a good day, I might sell 100 pounds or whatever. Theoretically, in theory.
Yeah.
And then or whatever, leaders or yada yada, whatever, in theory, allegedly. And then allegedly, and then And then I sell my own skateboards, and I get $30 a board now instead of two when I sell them, because I, created a
How have you
system.
found that? How have you found that direct to consumer role? How are you figuring that with your you just pump that through Instagram and through Twitter and stuff like that?
I don't really use Twitter. I have it, but just Instagram.
And how do you find the conversions? Do you make some good money off that sometimes?
I mean, it's like I can I used to get $2 a board, and now I get $30 a board. So, whatever, I can sell what one, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
way different the ratio
sell
to
100
even.
boards and you made $3,000. There's your
Yeah,
minimum as well.
yeah, exactly. So it works out. Um, but I'm at a point where I became a simple man, not in thought,
Just in
but
money spending. And have you found your life being a little bit are you happier now that you're not as flashy and not wasting money, or not wasting money, spending money on what you thought made you happy back in the day?
no, I knew it didn't make me happy. I used to I used to go in the bathroom and keep the lights off. I had acne ridden skin when I was younger, and I would keep the lights off in the bathroom sometimes when I would go, and I'm wearing a fucking $50,000 chain and shit. And I would do that because whatever, I didn't want to see my face. And uh Tori Pudwell, this kid who gave him his first video part in this video, Jeremy Rogers' Neighborhood, that I told you about. He I one time, his skin cleared up, and I was like, "What did you do? Did you do Accutane, which was popular at the time?" And he was like, he's like a character at Fast Times Ridgemont High. He was like, "Yeah, I think it's more like mental." And I was like, I thought he was crazy. And then when I retired, and I read for 8 to 10 hours a day, books for 2 years, and I would listen to Sade and different stuff in the mirror, because that's where I had this downstairs studio. I moved back in with my mom, and so that was just a space I could be away from somebody. And that's when my skin cleared up, and I, kind of reiterated the power of the brain, so it was beautiful. Beauty does start inside, and then it externalizes.
Yeah, manifestation is a real thing. It's pretty crazy.
It is, and I don't really spend time trying to manifest now, because I just believe that the divine has a path and a purpose. So I'm just grateful to be alive, and I just keep. And even, he's not really wanting to speak, but Drake said the other day, when if you get so focused on the goal and the goal and the goal, and you're not able to just appreciate the journey, you might never make it to your goal. So that's where I'm at. I appreciate the journey, and I just work, and I work, and I work, and right now with music, my reward comes from that. In the past 2 months, I've worked harder than I've ever worked on music, probably 3 months, and I'm making the best music of my life, and my reward is in the craft, and by all means, I expect to be paid, but I could accept $100,000 a year over $50 million a year from skateboarding, because it's what I want to do, but I damn near know I can touch that 100. You know what I mean?
And would you be down to do a part 2 podcast maybe next week?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, then we can go into more details about your music and stuff like that. I've actually got to run. I'm going to go surf because the waves are pumping.
Enjoy
thanks for your time, Jereme, and I'll hit you up, and we'll do a part 2. Thanks for being so honest, and you're a beacon of hope for people that want to do what they want to do despite what other people tell them.
Will you send me there'll be a link I can post too?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I'll post this. Yeah, no worries at all. Yeah, easy.
All right. God bless you, Willie. Enjoy the
God
waves.
bless you too. Yeah, and we'll catch up when I come to America in a couple of months too. But yeah, I'll hit you up next time next week. We can do another one.
No more getting. Do you not have Uber out there?
Yeah, I spent $200 on Uber last night, actually.
Yeah, no more getting. No more of those things.
Yeah, last time I lost my license, I spent almost $4 grand on Ubers in a month.
Well, it's better than losing your license, I think. I don't know. Maybe it's not. I don't know, right?
Oh fuck no!
But
Losing your license is horrible. Fuck public
yeah, all right.
transport. I couldn't even imagine getting public transport in LA. Fuck, that would be horrible. Anyways, dude,
In LA, it's embarrassing, but God bless you.
God bless you too. Thank you for your time, and I'll be in touch. Thank you very much. Peace and love.
Okay, you too.